Hey, good morning, everybody. How are we on this fine Friday? Beautiful weather here in Central Oregon today. Somebody commented yesterday that they think winter got stuck in one of those transport ships out in the harbor that hasn't been unloaded yet. And that may be the case. I mean, honestly, we're seeing pretty decent temperatures, clear skies. It's nice. So in this morning's market report, I want to talk a little bit about my thoughts on this housing bubble. Dun, dun, dun. I hear about it and you see the headlines, are we in a housing bubble? And I think it's a modern day boogeyman. Sensationalism sells in the media, and housing bubble is a good phrase to get people excited and scared. Specifically because a lot of us remember 2007 to 2009 as a pretty tragic time economically. And I think what's happening, the real challenge here, a lot of these doomsayers are conflating chronological order with cause and effect. What I mean by that is that in the couple of years running up to 2007, housing prices spiked dramatically. We bought a house in 2003 that basically doubled in value by 2007. So we were seeing huge gains in the market. By 2009, that value was halved. So we had a 4-year gain of about 100%, but a 6-year gain of essentially zero. The increase in prices didn't cause the crash. Irresponsible lending policies and bad advice from real estate agents and mortgage brokers led to a lot of people being in homes they simply couldn't afford to pay for. A lot of them were lured in by adjustable rate mortgages and interest-only loans and stated income loans. Stated income loans are an entirely different sort of evil that I'm really not going to address. But what happened was, as the rates increased on these adjustable rate mortgages and as principal payments came due on these interest-only loans, people were defaulting in droves because they just didn't have the money to pay the new mortgage. Both of these products, adjustable rate mortgages and interest-only loans, are very rare in mortgage lending right now because you remember 2008, right? A lot of end-of-year forecasts are out right now, and I spent some time yesterday reviewing what the people who make their millions in real estate believe is going to happen for 2022. They're fairly consistent that home prices will continue to rise. Nobody's anticipating a crash of any sort if we look at the people who are, as I say, making their millions in real estate. The forecasted rate of increase for next year is smaller than what we've seen recently, but since 1980, home prices have increased by an average of 4.6% annually. Last year, that number was 19.9. Now, this is nationwide and covers a lot of different building types, a lot of different areas. But that's a huge number. I mean, that's a 20% increase in values over the course of a year. If we look at what the experts, the people, as I say, who are making their millions in real estate, what they're forecasting, it's still pretty optimistic. Zillow, who maybe took a hit to their credibility since they're potentially losing about $550 million on their iBuyer business. They were buying homes for cash and reselling them. Their prediction is that home prices will increase by about 13.6%. And all these numbers are framed from Q4 2021 to Q4 2022. Okay, so a calendar year essentially. Goldman Sachs, who are raking in cash with real estate-based investment instruments, are predicting 16% from October 21 to December 22. So 13.5% annualized. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, government-backed mortgage investment funds, are predicting 7.9 and 7% respectively. Now, at the pessimistic end of the spectrum, we find Redfin, who's a pretty significant player in the market as a real estate brokerage. They're predicting a 3% rise in value. And CoreLogic, who deals in statistics and data analysis over several industries, is predicting 1.9%. So these are companies that study the market, study the trends, study the global economy, and they're guesstimating that house prices are going to go up for 2022. A little bit or a bunch. I mean, I'd consider 13.5% increase year over year to be a bunch. At the chicken little end of the spectrum, the Mortgage Brokers Association, I beg your pardon, they're predicting that home prices will actually fall 2.5% over the next year due to rising mortgage rates and some other economic factors that affect affordability, as well as the lack of availability of starter homes. There's a lot of people who would like to get in the market and just aren't quite there yet because there aren't homes that fit their budgets. So there's a lot of pent-up demand, and I don't see that being satisfied because home values fall. I see that being satisfied because builders gain the confidence to get back in the market. We saw an awful lot of construction outfits go out of business 2009, 2010 because the economy didn't recover as quickly as they would have hoped, and they had pinned everything on massive building projects, and they gambled, they lost. That will come back, in my opinion. We're going to see over the next couple of years more smaller construction firms get involved. We're also going to see, I think, this continued, I won't call it urban flight, but more people are working from home now, working remotely, and they don't necessarily want to live in the big city anymore. So they are moving to more rural areas. So I expect we're going to see prices increase the most in two significant market segments. One is kind of rural-ish areas that are near metro areas and the downtown core of cities with solid infrastructure. People are going to pay more to live and work right downtown and have access to mass transit and those kind of things. And people are going to be willing to pay more to move a little further out of town, have a little bit of privacy. These 2 to 5 acre lots, I think, are going to be huge, and that's going to drive the market. I think the suburbs are going to stay fairly flat. If you're 2 or 3 miles from downtown, don't expect the value of your home to appreciate considerably over the next couple years. If you're maybe 4, 5, 6 miles out of town, you got a better shot. And if you own a loft downtown, sky's the limit. People are going to continue to pay for those. That's my opinion based on what I'm reading in the forecasts and what I'm seeing economically, geographically, the way people are moving around the country right now. The reality of the increase on an average is going to be somewhere in the middle of that spectrum we talked about, from 16% to negative 2.5%. Probably overall nationally, I guess we're going to see around 5%, which is about the average, maybe a little below the average. If you're looking at real estate as an investment, then you're taking a long-term view. You want to look at different factors than if you're looking to fix and flip. You're going to look at different areas. You're going to look at different potential marketing strategies. Are you renting? Are you planning to lease the property out long-term? Those sorts of things. If you're shopping for a primary residence, really take a long-term view. The prices of real estate are going to continue to climb. Historically, real estate has always gone up in value. If you're looking for a home to live in, then take a 10-year, 15-year perspective on it. Don't worry so much about the year or two at a time. The market goes up a bunch, the market goes down a bunch. So That's my thoughts on this so-called housing bubble that doesn't actually exist, I believe. But to sum up the forecast, even the most pessimistic of the forecasts, if the Mortgage Brokers Association is correct and home prices fall on average 2.5% over the next year, that's hardly a crash. We saw 19.9% gains over the previous year. So seeing a 2.5% reduction, I think it's irresponsible for anybody to try and frame that as a crash in the housing market. It's an adjustment at best because the economy will continue to grow. Whatever political spectrum, wherever you fall on that, historically, the economy is going to continue to grow. Inflation will go up, inflation will go down. Interest rates will go up, interest rates will go down. All these things are going to happen. And over the long term, real estate is going to appreciate. It can't help it. There just isn't going to be any more land manufactured in the future. People are expanding outside of the cities. We're seeing urban growth boundaries expand. We're going to see more building happening a few miles out from city centers. So my advice, my opinion, if you're looking at real estate, either as a primary residence, you're thinking it might be the time to buy, don't get sucked into this, oh, the market's going to crash, you should wait a year. Because what's going to happen if you wait a year is it's going to cost you money. You're going to lose in the long term because mortgage rates are going to go up. You'll be able to afford less of a house even while housing prices continue to appreciate. It's always the right time when we're not in a global recession. And I don't see a global recession coming anytime soon, truly and honestly. So anyway, that's a nickel's worth of my 2 cents on the so-called housing bubble. If you've got real estate questions, ask us. We're here to help. Thanks. Have a great day.